All right, welcome back to Twin Tarot. I'm David.
I'm Gary.
And today we're going to talk about hidden clauses. And I don't mean Santa hiding in your closet,
Ah, Is that where
creeper.
he's been? Is that where he was all this time?
You know, let's talk about this for a second. He
Okay.
sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. Sounds like a stalker to me.
Maybe he is in the closet.
Ugh. We'll talk to. I hope Mrs. Claus is aware of this closeted behavior of his. No, the different Claus.
Ah,
Sorry, not Sandy Claus either. If you're into puns,
yes.
so most of you have heard this by now. Dr. Lena sent me something via email the other day. Thank you. Uh, Thank you to her for that, keeping me aware of things going on.
Yeah,
Apparently,
because our news service doesn't cover these things.
yeah, no kidding, huh? So apparently, Blue Sky's good for this too. Third time is a charm. Apparently, in the recently approved GOP budget, there was something buried at like page 500 that allowed the president immunity from being held in contempt by the courts. So you know that bit where the Supreme Court said that Donald Trump had to facilitate the return of a certain gentleman that had been illegally arrested and illegally shipped out of the country without due process to El Salvador, that basically saying, no, you bring his butt back here. Yeah, if he doesn't do it, he can be held in contempt of court and face civil penalties. And the GOP is trying to put something in there where Trump can basically break all the laws he wants. Not only would he be king, but he would be king and there wouldn't even be civil, much less criminal punishments
Yep.
for his actions. Can you imagine if the Democrats did that for Biden or Obama or Clinton or anybody else? Can you imagine the
That's,
outrage?
you'd still hear the screaming from 1996, right?
They're still screaming about the freaking tan suit. What? And I apologize for anybody here, for both of you who might be like Trump supporters, but we're tired of the hypocrisy. We are just exhausted with the hypocrisy. Oh, I'm sorry. The Republicans are the political party of fiscal responsibility. Gary, how long have we heard that?
Our
80s?
entire lives.
Yeah, our entire lives. Certainly in our voting lives, which began in the early 80s. We've
Yes.
heard that. And you bought into it too, right? Because I know
Sure.
I did,
Yeah.
but every time, and then you see these statistics about how the Republicans run up the debt and the Democrats bringing it down. It's like, well, you can kind of say, hey, the economy is lagging compared to the president. That could be Republican stuff, yada, yada, yada. Well, of course, Reagan did that because he economically bankrupted Russia or USSR, breaking them up and making the US a world power, la da 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 da. But when Trump was in there, they added trillions of dollars to the debt, and now he wants to add trillions more.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the party of fiscal responsibility. It never has
no.
been. It's all been a lie. And it's stuff like that that not only turned me off to the Republican Party, but I will never go back because they're liars. Now, that doesn't mean the Democrats don't lie, but they at least don't brand themselves as this balance the budget, get down the deficit policy party, and then do like not only the exact opposite, but the extreme version of the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Grumble, grumble, grumble. And now they want to make the president a king even more.
Yeah.
Heaven.
Yeah.
So I want to know. Sorry, go on. You're about to.
Well, there was
Nobody cares what you have to say, anyways. Know your role and shut your mouth.
Well, there was. I don't know if you were telling me this, but they were talking. Someone was going back and you were talking about there was a conservative. He was a businessman that was very conservative. You were saying.
No, you were telling me this one. This was on the Tucker Carlson. This was the Tucker
No.
Carlson
This was different. This is a different one.
Okay.
You're telling me he's very conservative. He donates. He supports conservative causes, but he was starting to talk about how Joe Biden and the Democrats were talking about how the Republicans are going to go after Medicare.
Yeah. Oh, it was missed. Okay, so for those, watching. He's on TikTok and YouTube. His name is Mr. Global. That's his tag name. He's a oil and gas expert. He owns his own oil and gas company. And again, he is conservative. He is a traditional conservative. He has no love for the Democrats. Do not get me wrong. He has no love for the Democrats whatsoever, but he has total disgust for the current administration and the Republican Party, especially when it comes to oil and gas, because he sees the lies that they're telling and the misrepresentations, and he calls them out on it. Carry on.
Okay. So, and his point was, it's like, you can say or think what you want about the Democrats, but they weren't wrong. They were ringing the bell and sounding the klaxon about what the Republicans were going to do, and the Republicans are like, no, we're not going to do that.
He's talking about Medicare. He played a clip of the Biden State of the Union address where Marjorie Taylor Greene, all dressed in white, was shouting him down the whole time and booing him. And he played the Republicans basically saying they're going to cut billions from Medicare, and they were all booing him. And he's like, well, that's I've got a copy of the budget. I'll send it to you. And booed him even louder. So you don't want to do that. And then they cheer. He goes like, okay, let's all agree that we aren't going to cut Medicare and Medicaid in this budget. And then, I remember the commentary afterwards, like, now the Republicans are stuck because he played them, but now they have their opportunity to do it, and they're taking it.
Yeah. So, in their wisdom, the GOP-led budget now has this little language that's in the budget package that's going to the Senate for review and approval, that would basically allow Trump to ignore court orders.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah. It's not like he's not doing it already, but now it makes it official where he can't be punished for doing it.
34 felonies, and you're going to make him free from all crime, civil and criminal penalties.
Yeah.
Gosh, what could possibly go wrong with that?
And that's what I'm going to start this reading on.
Yeah, in case you were ever wondering if this was going to happen.
Yes, for entertainment purposes only. What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know, but Gary will dance poorly for beer. I don't know if that's a promise or a guarantee.
It's a bit of an observation. So the foundation of the reading is the Four of Swords. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, let's sit back and think about this for just a second. The challenge is Page of Wands. This is the Republicans' creative messaging. They're basically putting this. One of the things that ultimately is going to go away is freedom of speech, and that the Page of Wands is all about taking actions and sharing messaging.
Also throw in there, and I'm sorry if I always do this to you, but that Four of Swords is also like something kind of hidden. It's like a little sleeper agent, little time bomb that's in there.
Yep.
Oh, look, and somebody found it.
Yeah, don't look underneath me. It's hidden in the mattress, right?
Don't look at page 534. Whatever you do, just skip that page.
Yeah. Was it 10,000 pages or 1,000 pages?
Whatever it is, yeah.
The energy underneath is the magician. This is Trump trying to basically manifest his dictatorship. Bottom line, we're kind of joking around what could possibly go wrong, but this is ultimately what he wants. He wants complete control. He wants power over the wands. He wants power over the cups. He wants power over the pentacles and the swords. He wants to control everything. In the past, you got the Ace of Wands. He clubs anyone that gets in his way or disagrees with him. Dave was mentioning this on a previous video, how, people who suffer from mental, like Alzheimer's or other mental, not really mental health illness, but, those kinds of related illnesses, they get more and more irate and argumentative if you disagree with them as the disease progresses. Current energy is the Hangman. He doesn't like the current situation that we're in and wants more power. He's looking at this differently. The message that he keeps sending to his base is, I can't do what I need to do because people keep stopping me. The fact that it's checks and balances and, people's civil rights that are being protected are preventing him from doing it. That's not the message that MAGA is receiving. Overarching energy is the Knight of Pentacles. we're kind of in a situation where how much do you value your democracy? It's funny. This is a very passive card. And maybe the Senate is going to take a little bit of time to really assess this. But to me, I'm hoping the whole Knight of Swords shows up pretty soon, because that's the action that needs to be taken. The lesson to be learned is the Four of Cups. Giving Trump this power might not be such a good idea. There's a flash of the obvious. So what could possibly go wrong? You've got your three branches of government. Who needs three when you could just only need one? Oh boy, what a great card to end it with. Outcome, Seven of Swords. I think I had this similar card when I was looking at this yesterday. He's basically trying to take away things that they're taking away your freedoms, taking away your rights. This is the Republicans just trying to steal everything so that you can't defend yourself.
Yeah, you're starting to drift there, because I think the reading started off as what's going on with this bill, and then you started focusing on Trump, and it's like, well, let's see where he goes with it.
Yeah, it's just like what could possibly go wrong, right?
Yeah, there's looks like there's just a whole lot of opportunity. It's like, hey, let's sneak this in the budget. Probably nobody will see it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Now, generally speaking, I don't know how true this is anymore, but well, it is mildly true. Remember, House of Representatives, they're elected in districts. Districts can be gerrymandered. That's how you cheat. For Senate, you have to run through the whole state. You can't gerrymander a state, but you can voter suppress a state.
Yes.
In order to get voters who would vote for the other party less likely to show up, so that your voters are overrepresented in their power. Now, so you have to be a little concerned. You can't just be like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert and flee to your deep red safe district and tout how wonderful this is, making the president the king, especially when it's your guy. Yeah. Imagine if they gave Joe Biden the same treatment. They would lose their minds. Senate, what are they going to do about it? I mean, are they going to approve this budget with that in there, or is this something they're going to push back on? It looks like from Gary's cards, I think they're going to push back by that Four of Cups and the Seven of Swords. It's like, highway robbery is fine when it comes to funding your pork barrel projects, but that might be a bridge too far. And I think that's a bridge too far. They're going to walk away from this one. For as many corrupt senators and MAGA senators there are there, I just don't think they can support that part of it. There's going to be edits to the budget. I think that's going to be one of them. It's like, dude, this doesn't belong in here. Crossed with, there's going to be things they take out of this budget. Maybe some of the worst spending cuts or the tax breaks. It just, they want to get it through. Believe me, they want to get this through. But there's just some things they have to remove.
You know what it could be, David, is that clause, as much as they'd like to get it through, maybe it's just a sacrificial lamb.
No, I don't think it was supposed to be spotted, and it got spotted, and you can't justify it. Maybe they could keep it in there, but how do you sell this to people? Yeah. It'll sell to a third of the country that are really weird, dressed up as Uncle Sam or a brick wall or something like that. They'll love it. But for the other 2/3 of the country or 70% of the country, they're going to say, no, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. And if you do that, then you leave it wide open. Imagine if you had a wildly left-leaning progressive president, and you gave him this power. Would you want that? They have never. I don't think in our lifetime we've had a wild left president. Like Jimmy Carter would probably be the closest.
Oh God.
And he seems pretty tame.
Yeah.
Yeah. what would happen if AOC had this power? What if David Hogg, who's
Oh my God, yeah.
give him that power? Oh, you guys would be hating life. We'd laugh at you because y'all did it to yourself, but you'd be hating life. Whoops, wrong
Oh,
guy.
hey. When you say
Uh,
you're talking MAGA and the Republicans, right?
Yes. So underneath it all, the star card, the stuff that's going to stay in, the stuff that they're going to remove. I think a lot of it's going to stay in, but they have to get it out. In the past, the Three of Wands, waiting for this bill to come in. Come on, we got to get this budget approved. Current situation is the Strength card. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You know what? I take that back. I think the Republicans are looking at this and they're looking at career suicide with it. But at the same time, they're between a rock and a hard place. They don't. The Senate doesn't like the House. They don't think that the House takes things seriously, and they're being told to just approve this thing with no changes. Overarching energy is the world card. Well, not the U.S. budget does impact the world and the world economy. That is true, but I do think that this is the final act of the Republican parties. We see it now. I've been predicting their death and fracture for a while, but it's coming. Lesson to be learned. Yeah, if you pass this thing and you take people off of Medicare and Medicaid, I don't think this is going to play well for you. I really don't. Yeah, congratulations. The oligarchs can afford another yacht, but at what cost to the American people, the American economy, and your future in the Senate? Outcome is the Six of Wands. They're still going to approve it. They're going to approve it. They're going to leave the cuts in. Now, I asked about this thing. I could see them. I think two things are going to happen here. You're going to see the Senate will approve this. I do think that they will take out the presidential immunity, but you know what? They may not. They may not. I think what this is showing with this card and this card underneath it is that you've got senators who are going to approve it and then will not run for re-election. You know, get what they can. They know they can't be re-elected. So grift as much money as you can and then retire before you face the consequences and the backlash for what you've done.
Great.
So yeah, there may be some senators who just like, okay, I'll approve it. What can I get out of these guys? Let me hoard as much power and cash as I can, and then I'll go off because I've got mine, and then we'll let somebody else clean up the mess. That's if they're forced to go on with it. This is disgusting.
I agree. I don't know if I got anything else to go on that.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I do either. There was something Kim from Intuit View had thrown out there. I do quote her a lot. That we are an extremely polarized society right now, going through a transition, and the positive energy is very high and the negative energy is really low, like much more so than what it normally is, which is why we're seeing things that we probably, actions and being taken by politicians and leaders that we never dreamt would have happened in our lifetimes. I mean, who would have dreamt that they're trying to make the president a king? Yep. Or take things back to the 50s? We just don't know which century. Yep. Try and get rid of women's rights and civil rights and LGBTQ rights and things, and basically undo everything that has been implemented from the 1960s onward, and then try and drive it back further than that. So that's the negative part, trying to really be as dark and negative as they possibly can be. And it just, it'll be interesting to see what snaps this rubber band. And again, we usually come together over a tragedies that brings people together. You think about flying some airplanes into some very tall buildings in New York City 20 something years ago, and what that did for society. Yeah. What the heck is going to happen to overcome what they call like basically Civil War energy here. What's gonna
Mhm.
have what's gonna have to happen to overcome the? Does a freaking meteor have to come in and pancake uh, a city, a county, a state type of
That
thing?
sounds,
Is that? Oh,
sounds like a great reading.
jeez. I think I've tried to read on it, and I don't know what I get from it. But apparently, you don't. If it happens, you don't have to worry about Donald Trump giving you emergency funds for it because the answer is going to be no. He's going to make sure FEMA doesn't go over budget by actually helping.
Yeah,
the
actually
United
dispersing
States.
monies.
Yeah, but that's what people voted for, even if they say that's not what they voted for. That's what you voted for. Congratulations. Hope you like it. And again, because this channel has probably become a bit of an echo chamber, the people that need to hear it aren't going to hear it.
Yeah. Well, that's all
Thank
I
you
got.
very much for watching this video.
Another uplifting and fun-filled video
Yeah.
with Twin
It is,
Tarot.
it is what it is. There's not much we can do about it. That's the frustrating part.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
Thank you for watching. If you like these videos, give us a thumbs up. This one, if you don't give it a thumbs up, I get it.
Yeah.
leave a comment. I read them all, respond to many. And if you want to be subjected to these uplifting videos on a daily basis, subscribe. And unlike the inferior Twin Tarot channels that
now they might report us for saying that they're well, that's if no, she does speak English. I did hear her speaking English on her channel.
yeah, so
because her reading's not in Hindi.
Was that in Facebook Marketplace, or where
It
did
was
you
a Facebook group, but she has a YouTube channel, Twin Tarot.
Oh gosh, but there's only one person.
Yeah, it's probably it's like a twin flame. I am assuming is where she's going with it. Well, we should probably do a collab with her.
Oh gosh, she I think her channel started after ours too, didn't it?
No, it started before. She started in January of 2024. And we started this one in May of 2024. But it wasn't like I hadn't been lobbying you before.
Exactly. We better copyright it quick. Unlike the other Twin Tarot channel, we give shout outs to our viewers.
Well, she might do that to hers too. I just don't understand Hindi, so I can't tell if she does or does not. Let's just talk about the generic bargain basement tarot channel, Twin Tarot channels.
So let's give a couple shout outs here to people who've left comments recently, like Diane Anderson.
Was it a sharp pointed comment?
The Supreme Court made this monster, and now they will have to deal with it.
Sounds like it.
And then we've got Lee, Precious Heaven.
Look, we're progressing down the swords here.
Yes. Well, and AOC may be a Democrat, but New Yorkers see her as Bernie S. Two socialists and Democrats here to go for more moderate progressive. So yeah, there's probably some people. Hey, I'll tell you, when Bernie ran back in 2016, I thought he was a little too progressive for my taste. At this point, bring him on, baby.
Bernie seems reasonable, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's
and his positions haven't changed.
Yeah.
He is solid. That dude knows exactly what he wants, and he always is on message. And he has become less liberal or more conservative. He's the same. It's just now that you've seen how horrible people could be, it's like, you know what? I think I'd rather live in Bernie's universe than this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we'll wrap it up with Ink and Paint.
Right on.
Hey, you're the star. And then for the rest of us, we got the Five of Cups. Yeah, I know this is not the most uplifting and jolly of ours.
Maybe they went to the other Twin Tarot channel and realized the Twin Tarot channel said, "Oh my God, this is so much better." If only.
Oh dear, start losing it by the thousands now.
Exactly.
And for all you people who really like the Boston Pops and felt David was way out of line,
no, I wasn't.
We'll give you the Hermit card. David will find a path forward.
Yeah, as Gary put in the comments for that one, you didn't grow up in our house.
Yeah, that's true. You can't take it out of context. Was what I? Well, there was one person who said they were going to unsubscribe because it was so offensive what David says. Like, well, I'm sorry you got offended, but you can't take it out of context. You didn't grow up in our household where any music that wasn't my dad's music was mocked mercilessly and
easy listening. Good.
Yeah. So, for example, the Beatles. He hated the Beatles. He mocked the Beatles. How do you mock the Beatles? My God.
And then the funny part was then he would listen to his Muzak stations, and they would be playing an instrumental version of the Beatles song. And Lori, our eldest sister, would be like, "Hey, Dad, you like this song?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, this is pretty good. It's a Beatles song." What?
Well, they don't play it like this. This is the
exactly.
way
Heaven forbid there be an electric guitar in anything. and again, you know, I dislike easy listening music. I don't like it. Now, I also listen to Queen, and I listen to Metallica. And I can assure you that if you're a big Boston Pop fan, you probably are not a big Metallica fan.
There's not a lot of overlap in those concentric rings.
Now, I will say this. When our dad did have some pretty good albums in his collection, he just never played them. And it would be like, Christmas music was good in our house.
Yeah.
But it would be like, you know, the vintage that he was growing up in, he could have been listening to Louis Jordan or any one of a number of swing music bands. He listened to Percy Faith or something like that. But who I'm drawing a blank now on the name. Sing, Sing, Sing. Crap.
Jail.
What's that?
I'll entertain the folks in YouTube land with very poor dancing until you come up with it. They'll do the sprinkler.
Benny Goodman.
Oh, Benny Goodman.
Yeah, you know, it's like or you know, Louis Prima, or you know, there was so much good swing music going on in that time. And what is he listening to? He listens to the same crap they play in elevators. And that's all the Boston Pops were to me. They were just elevator music with a big band. I guess you're free to love it all you want. My opinion in 30 cents will give me a phone call to somebody who cares.
All right. We got a good intro rant and an even better outro rant.
No kidding. All right, everyone. We'll catch you on the next video. Take care,
folks.